Hello. I think the stream should be working. This is not. Wait, why is it doing that? Oh no, we're good. The audio was being weird. Yeah, this is not my usual pre-stream start. I usually let the music do stuff for 15 minutes and that gives me time to prepare and stuff. But I thought today I don't have anything to prepare. I've got a PowerPoint slide production and that's it. So I'm just gonna sit in pre-stream, welcome to people in for about 12 minutes, and then we're gonna jump into the actual stream today, which isn't a full stream. It's gonna be about an hour of me just going through stuff from the past year and talking about it. Really, it's not even something you really need to watch live. It's just it could be a recording for all we care. But yeah, I decided to do something like this at the end of the year to kind of get an idea as to how I'm doing and what I want to do in the future. And yeah, we're going to do this for about an hour. I don't think I am going to do games afterwards. I said I was going to do games in the Discord. Chances are I'm just going to do this special events thing and then get on with Christmas stuff, because it is that time of year, and that usually means that I'm going to be busy for the next 2 days, but hopefully I'll have time to do this. So yeah, I'm here to do Christmas stuff, Christmas shenanigans, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just gonna let the timer go to 0, and then we're gonna start. But yeah, it's been an interesting year on a personal level. It went by very fast. This is like one of the fastest years ever. It's like the complete opposite of 2020. 2020 was so long that we just kind of wanted it to end. Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, no. We stop this. We don't let this happen. Yeah, 2020 was an exceedingly long year because of everything that happened during it. But 2021 just kind of went by in a flash. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing. And yeah, we're here now. Bernardo, Cowley Pastry is now hosting the Flower Garden. Thank you for the host, Pastry. As you can see, I'm not doing my usual pre-stream. I'm doing a kind of a setup countdown, I guess. Since I haven't really got anything to set up, and I thought it'd be nice just to talk for about 10 minutes about stuff. But as I was saying, 2021, it's been a pretty good year. I mean, it's my second year as a teacher. Well, and a trained-to-be teacher at the uni I work at. And it's been good. The problem is I've never had any... I had some experience back at the beginning when I was being taught it, but next year will be my first time like teaching an actual like lecture hall of people. It won't be too often because I'm still training in it, but I'm excited for it. It's gonna be good. I mean, I'm more excited just to do lab stuff again. Not the actual like teaching students. It's more so I get to be where I want to be and I can do what I want. Because as much as I've loved streaming, this has been kind of a getaway from that, and you will still see streams next year. I will be streaming next year, obviously, but it's very gooped. It is very gooped. Yeah, how is the audio, Pastry? Is it good? Is it gooped? Is it bad? Is it equal? Hopefully it's fine. But yeah, I just thought it would be a good idea to do a stream review. I'll talk about that when we actually get into the actual stuff. But yeah, it sounds good to you and very good. Very, very good. Oh yeah, speaking of gooped, I am going to be getting a new microphone next soon. I ordered myself one for Christmas. And it should increase my audio quality. I shouldn't sound like I'm in 16-bit world. Like, I shouldn't sound like this, basically. Where is it? Did you get rid of it? Did they get rid of 16-bit? I mean, they did. 8-bit. Yeah, they did. They got rid of 8-bit from the soundboard. Well, shit. Oh well. Yeah, you're going to be hearing the Christmas Town theme from Kingdom Hearts 2 for quite a bit because I'm lazy and I didn't decide to get an album ready for this. I have actually got an album for the actual playlist of games for today's stream, but I'm going to save it until then. I basically just got like a song from each of the games I played this year. But yeah, I'm going to be going into it soon. The contents of this is going to be mainly stuff I've done this year, stuff I was happy with, stuff I was less happy with, an official ranking, or not an official ranking, my own ranking of the games I played this year and how I found them. And then finally I'm going to be talking about stuff I want to do in the future, like what games I'm going to be playing, what things are going to be changing to the stream. Luckily, one of those things isn't going to be my name because I honestly can't think of a better name for my channel. Like, something that describes me the best. I think I'm just going to stick with TheTalkingFlower. Like, I'm happy with it. It works, so there's no reason to change it. Like, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Oh Lord, I am excited for next week and this weekend because I'll get to see the Flower family and have food, delicious food, which I, mind you, will be cooking. I don't usually cook. It's probably going to end terribly, but I'm going to be cooking, and there's going to be a lot of mess probably. I mean, we always talk about how good Christmas dinner is and how much fun it is to cook. But in the end, you just spend about an hour afterwards washing up and you're like, well, what was the point in this? The food was good, but was it worth this turmoil afterwards? Was it worth the suffering? Yeah, it was. That's the answer to that question. Because you get to sit around the table reading bad cracker jokes of your family and eating delicious food. And the best part, of course, is the pudding. I have procured myself some pre-made food because I don't like to do pudding because I always feel like the thing I would make would be inferior to the actual stuff I could buy. So I bought myself a Yolog and some Arctic rolls, which are a delicacy. I love Arctic rolls. But yeah, plans for tomorrow is I'm going to be doing Christmas prep, but I will also be online because I'm not too busy tomorrow outside of that. Christmas Day, however, you'll never see me. I won't be alive on Christmas Day. I'll be at a party with people, giving presents. I spent the whole of Wednesday just wrapping up presents. It was insane. Like, when I thought it was over, my housemate brought in like 6 more presents. So I was like, oh, okay. Guess this never ends, the wrapping. But it's for a good cause, and I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing their happy faces when they get to open a present. It just allows the endorphins to run, doesn't it? Where you open a present, they're thinking like someone cares about you, someone cares for you enough to wrap the present. Yeah, you can't really get that through a virtual media. There's something very organic about opening a present, I feel. Or opening anything, really. Like when you buy something from Amazon or you buy yourself your new PC. It's like, oh, I love opening this. Like, sure, the amount of packaging they put into Amazon packages these days is insane, but it feels good to open them. And I'm not crazy in this, am I, chat? Maybe I am. Like, I recently bought myself a new pair of headphones, and they're coming tomorrow, and I'm very excited for it. Come in, Berserk. Welcome in. Nani? Welcome. This is not your typical stream intro. I am not letting music play. I'm just talking because I'm not going to be doing too much today. I'm just going to be talking. This is basically going to be the Flower Podcast. The Flower Podcast. Hey, it works. Yeah, I'm just going to be talking about stuff. I got a PowerPoint slide prepared. Live Christmas dinner, please. All right. Okay. I've been demanded live Christmas dinner. Give me a second. Let's download this. I am downloading the Christmas dinner for you. Here it is. Wait. Oh, for fuck's sake, why is it doing this now? There we go. There we go, Christmas dinner. Here you go, it's Flower Family. No, it's not. It's not. Before I try and dox people, this is not my family. This is an image I got online. There you go. Oh, and I'll just JPEG my face in here too. There we go. Merry Christmas. There you go. You wanted to see me having Christmas dinner with the family. There it is. Right. I think that's it. We're now going to start the stream. Right, get rid of this. You must be the old dude in the middle. Wait, which dude? This guy? What, the person who looks like, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, okay, there we go. Old Flower. Yeah, Old Flower! Right. Turn the music off, because we've got a stream to do. Hello. Welcome to my 2021 review. I did not mean that to rhyme. It did, though. God damn it. So, this is something I decided to do. It was kind of a last minute thought. I was trying to work out what my last stream would be this year. And I was like, what would be a good idea? Ah, yes, I know. A 2021, review of the year. Have a look at what I've done so far this year. What has worked, what hasn't worked. What I could improve upon for the future. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today, basically. Just have a look at that stuff and see if, we can work out what I can do in the future. There is going to be some other stuff, some surprises in it, but yeah, it's going to be good. Let's just jump right into it, I think. And have a look-see, shall we? Right, I need to get my actual PowerPoint slide open. Right. Let's whip this into existence. Skadoo. There it is. Yeah, be pre-warned, there's going to be some incredible animations in this slideshow. But, yeah, welcome to my 2021 retrospective, I guess, is what I'll call this. Let's put some music on, shall we? I got one song that's going to play over and over again. Oh, it's coming out the wrong source. That's good. Audio spaghetti. That's one thing I'm going to be talking about today. Just the constant plague of audio spaghetti I've had this year. There we go. Tell me if it's too loud, chat, and I can turn it down. But yeah, welcome to my 2021 retrospective of the year, I guess. I don't know if retrospective is the right word, but I'm going to be using it. This is kind of a collage of all the stuff I've done this year, and what I wanted to do more than anything was just have a stream for the end of the year that kind of summed up this whole thing. So, as you might know, I started back in June. I think it was the 24th or 25th. I decided to join Twitch because I was like, I need a hobby during this epidemic, this pandemic. And I was like, okay. I been watching this streamer recently, and I thought, maybe I could have a go at that. And I thought, okay, what a good idea. Let's see if we can jump into that and see if I can do a good job of it. And yeah, from that point on, we grew slowly. And in July time, at the end of July, we reached 50 followers, which was our affiliate goal. And I became an affiliate after that, which is an amazing achievement, and I couldn't have done it without the VOT Discord and everyone in it. You were all incredible, and I want to thank you for that. But yeah, from that point on, I did a lot of experimental stuff. I like Kamui, all your emotes right now. This is good. Showing your range of emotes, I see. But yeah, let's jump into the first categories I did, I guess. Beginning of streaming. Well, I kind of touched on this in the intro, but yeah, I began back in June time because I wanted something to do over the next few months. Like, I think what really made me interested in doing it was watching male streams of playing games, like weird games and stuff, like Pastry as well, and everyone in that community. In fact, I'll put a link in right now. I'm going to do it across this thing, but this is the VOT. This is the community. If you don't know what the VOT is, and you're watching this for the first time on live or on the YouTube page, basically it's a collective of 6 streamers who run a community on Discord, but also across the site, and they do a lot of cool stuff every year. They do collaboration streams with each other. They do Extra Life, which is a charity event where they raise money for charity across 24 hours, and I watched it this year, and it was great. I played a bit of Jump King during that. I don't know if that was a good idea, but but yeah, basically for me, I began because of that, and also I had a lot of free time because of the whole situation which is going on right now. And it's still going on, unfortunately. Like, it hasn't ended. I don't think it's going to end for a while, but yeah. That's probably why 2021 went so fast, to be honest, because nothing happened in my life this year. Like, nothing at all, basically. It was like a gap year. But yeah, I began streaming with Metroid Fusion, and it was great. I had problems. Had a lot of problems, in fact. Like, in my first stream of Metroid Fusion, I had these scenes, and I remember for about 20 minutes, I switched to my pre-stream when I was playing gameplay, and the only footage which was there was my pre-stream. So the people who were watching, they couldn't see it. They couldn't see me playing the game. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the beginning of a lot of stuff, isn't it? And yeah, surely enough, I had other audio problems that year and other such problems too. But yeah, that's kind of my roots, my beginning of streams, I guess. Right, moving on to the next thing. Reaching affiliate. So about a month after we started streaming, I reached affiliate, which, if you don't know what that is, basically on Twitch, they kind of give you a rank where they kind of acknowledge you as actual streamers. So basically, before 50 followers, you're just kind of there. Like, anyone has a Twitch account, but to be really acknowledged by Twitch, they make you have a goal of 50 followers, streaming for a certain amount of time, and having this many viewers per se. And yeah, the one above this is partners, but that's never going to happen. That's not going to happen for Not now or for a while. Like, for a very, very long time, I think. Which, you know, being optimistic, that is me being optimistic. Like, me being pessimistic would be like, no, that's never happening. But the actual goal of me reaching affiliate, which I think was easier than someone who would start streaming like anytime, like anyone else who didn't have a community behind them, they probably would have had a much harder time to reach affiliate, because that period where no one else knows who you are and you're the streamer at the bottom of the page, no one's going to click on it, or at least someone who's interested will click on it, which is why I like the community tab so much, because people will see you and will enjoy your content even though you've got low viewers. And it kind of sucks that on this platform they get kind of buried into everyone else, even though their content is good and sometimes even better than big streamers out there. But in my case, I had a lot of help reaching affiliate, because I started in the community of the VOT Discord, and everyone there really helped me reach the goal, and I want to thank everyone for that, and it was incredible. And now we're kind of like our own little community streamers. We've got our own like little bubble on the Discord, and I love it. But with reaching affiliate, that gave me access to a lot of other stuff, because Twitch actually hides a lot of stuff behind that role. Like, for example, you can't have channel emotes until you reach affiliate. You can't have channel point redemptions and stuff. So when I reached that point, I could then put a lot more of my brand into the channel, because I could do emotes, I could do channel point redemptions, that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed having this, like, I guess the word would be freedom to do what I want on Twitch, like not being limited by having to stream a certain amount of hours or having a certain amount of viewers. It's always been about creating content that was interesting for me and also chat, while maintaining a lot of enjoyment for myself and you guys. Because if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I'm not going to want to stream, and I think that's the important thing to acknowledge here. Right, that is reaching affiliate. Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting category I put here, I guess, but with reaching affiliate, I got a little bit more confident in my ability to stream games. I remember there was a point at the beginning, I was struggling to stream for 3 hours, because obviously it's a lot to talk for 3 hours. Like, right now it's a lot to talk for like 10 minutes, but with streaming for 3 hours, you gotta keep chat engaged, you gotta talk about the game, keep that content interesting, and in that sense, it's difficult when you first start streaming, because it's a different medium completely. Like, with YouTube, you can just record and you can have breaks between talking. You can't do that with streaming. You have to talk live and you have to talk for a long period of time. Like, Meryl is incredible. He does this 4 times a week and he talks for 4 hours. Like, that's insane to me, but he does it so well. And I hope his voice does recover over this period of time, over Christmas, because I know he's had a sore voice over the last few months. So I hope that period of time does help him with that. But yeah, with streaming, that idea of having to provide commentary for that long period of time is difficult, but I enjoy it. It's fun to do, and also it helps when there's a game there to keep me interested in the conversation. I think one of the problems I found with myself, and I think other streamers can agree with this, is trying to keep a conversation going, because there's so many people sometimes in a chat room which want to talk about different things, want to keep the conversation going. You have to kind of work out what's the most important thing to talk about at that point and keep which conversations going. And again, I don't know how Mel and Pacey do it. They do it so well. But kind of with streaming, I found I've gotten better at that over time, which is the positive thing here. I remember at the end of Metroid Prime, I think Neil said you've gotten a lot more confident in speaking towards the end of my streams, and yeah, I think I have. And I don't think that's a gloating thing to say that I've become better at talking about stuff towards the end of streams. That's the point where you kind of drop off a bit, but I'm glad I've reached a point now with my streams where I can kind of just be like, yeah, this is an ideal place to be, where I can just talk about stuff for 3 hours, and I feel confident in that. Saying that, I don't want to move past 3 hours of streaming. I think 3 hours is enough. 4 hours is too much, and I think 2 hours isn't enough. I think 3 hours is a nice, safe point between the two. And if people are wondering if I want to do longer streams, probably not. Unless, like, Silk Song came out, possibly. I'm going to be playing that for 12 hours if that came out. But, yeah. I think, for me anyway, I found a good place with streaming. I think at the beginning I wanted to do 2-hour streams, but I was like, that's not enough content. I need to get through this game as fast as I can, and that means doing 3-hour streams, because then I can spend more time just...
Barpanada.
Barpanada? Merry Flormus, Morbo. Hello. Welcome to my weird stream, I guess you can call it. This isn't like a proper stream, it's more of a flower podcast where I just talk about, like, the year and my experience of this year and stuff. And I'm just kind of at the intro right now where I talk about what went well and what didn't go well. But welcome to the stream. If you don't know, Morbo is one of my fellow community streamers, my brother. If you want to check him out, if you were here when I posted it, but I can post it again right now. Oh, fuck's sake, right, I'm off. You immediately come in and I just like, Morbo is the greatest human being ever made. I'm gonna give a shout out to Morbo. Go check him out, he's pretty cool. And yes, Morbo, this stream is to compliment all you guys because I couldn't have reached affiliate without you guys, so I'm going to be cheesy. I'm going to be the big cheese in the situation. Well, you got that right at least. But anyway, back to longer game series. So, like I said before, I got more confident after I reached affiliate. I decided to play a very, very long game. I decided to play Skyward Sword HD. Now, if you remember that, and at the beginning of that, I was like, this is going to be a long series because this game is long. It's 35 hours, and, you know, that might not sound like a lot for other streamers, but when you start off playing a game like that, it's like climbing a mountain. You don't know if you're going to reach the top. And luckily, with commitment to that game, I was able to finish it, and that really boosted my confidence in doing longer game series, which is why I did Bloodborne. If I wasn't confident with Skyward Sword, Bloodborne would have never happened. So we can thank Skyward Sword for that. And you can also thank it because now I'm also going to be streaming Elden Ring when it comes out. But outside of that, yeah, that's, I think, this page done. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Oh. I don't know who this is, but goodbye. Oh, that's a new one. We had a new like big follows bot, but it was like different. You must have seen I was doing my stream review and was like, this is the chance. This is when I can get people to join my like completely real IP. Oh, a new one, yeah. That's interesting. I have to tell Mel about that. Right. But, yeah, as I said before, I had problems with audio graphics. I think, Morbo, you can also agree with this. Like, getting streaming done is really complicated. Like, it's more complicated than YouTube or that sort of stuff. Like, I do editing on my side. Like, that's something I like to do when I have time to do it. Like, it's usually like my third thing I have out there, and I come back to it every so often. That is significantly easier than this software I use. OBS is like hell. Like, I don't know how to use it. It has a mind of its own. It's like trying to wrangle a horse. And the biggest problem I've had is audio. Like, there's always been problems with speakers not connecting. Like, at the beginning, when I was doing my Nintendo Switch and console games, I had no idea how to do that stuff. I didn't know how to connect audio to aux cable or that sort of thing. So I just started panicking, like, oh no, audio's not gonna work, oh god. And then the worst thing happened with one of my streams, Skyward Sword. One of my streams had no game audio. Luckily, it was a stream where I wasn't doing anything important. It was just side quests. But holy shit, there was no game audio. And it was like, okay, good. Very good. That's just the life, isn't it? That's just the ideal life, when you have a stream with no game audio. That's how you know you've reached a peak. That's how you know you've done the good. But yeah, luckily that hasn't happened since. I've had other problems, like with my voice mod software, where it just plays like an 8-bit voice randomly, or my audio changes for some reason, but I think I fixed that now. I've changed everything up and it shouldn't happen again. And that's probably one of the things I want to get across in this stream. I'm going to be changing my technical stuff. Like, I'm going to be improving on that, and hopefully we never have an audio problem like that again. Audio spaghetti will now be non-existent, hopefully. Here's hoping. But yeah, Spoopytober. Now, if anyone remembers, back in October, Mail and some of the others do an event, a Halloween event called Spooktober, or whatever they call it. Everyone does it differently, has different names for it. I remember me and Morba, we came up with your name for it. I forgot what it was though. But Spoopytober was one of my first times I tried to do an event across a month. It was like, can I have a month where I just play horror games and make it very themed around the holiday? I was like, yeah. And it actually worked out pretty well. The only problem I had with it, though, was the 2 games I had deemed to be 4 streams worth long. They both ended in 2 weeks. Which meant I had to find new games, and I had to panic and try and look for other horror games I could play. Now that I know that, I know next year to plan that out better. So yeah, next year we'll come back to Spoopytober and play more horror games. If anyone has any recommendations for horror games, I'm always up for it. Just DM me on Discord, it's in the channel description. Or join the VOT Discord and you can DM me on there if everyone's fine with that. But yeah, that is Spoopytober. I'm glad it actually turned out pretty well. I really enjoyed doing that stuff. And like, I tried to do that for Christmas too, but I was like, no, let's just not make Christmas game themed, because I'll just end up not finding any games. Because surprisingly, there isn't any Christmas games. That's why I'm not doing any after this, because I couldn't find any. They're all horror themed, and that's like, no, that's Spoopytober stuff. Emotes and channel points. So yeah, after we reached affiliate, that unlocked quite a bit of stuff for the channel. 2 of them being emotes, which you can access now with follower emotes. Wait, follower emotes or subscription emotes? Or you can use better Twitch TV and access them there. I've got quite a few now, and I'm kind of glad about that. I've kind of been off them for a while because I've been focusing on other stuff, but yeah, like I said before, if you have any recommendations for a flower emote, then I'm 100% ready for it. Channel point redemptions, though, I'm still very happy with them, and I hope we get one of the more expensive ones soon, because some are very expensive. They're very expensive, Douglas. So I'm interested to see what people eventually end up choosing in that regard, because yeah, I think they're a good selection, and yeah, I hope we get to see them soon. But yeah, outside of that, I haven't really got anything else to talk about. I'm just glad that I have access to this stuff now. And thank you, Twitch, for finally giving us access to 5 more emote slots. That was the best thing you could have done. And then finally, the community events. So, in November, I think it was after Spooktober, I organised a Final Fantasy XIV event where I wanted to get a lot of our free company together to kind of celebrate Endwalker coming out soon and just have a good time with some raids and duties. I love doing that. Setting up that community event was one of the most fun things I've done this year, and I want to do more of it. It was fun, it was good, and I want to do more stuff like that. Problem is, I can't do Final Fantasy because, unfortunately, that game is quite busy at the moment. Hopefully in January I can host some events, but it's probably going to be February time. I know everyone's going to be on Elden Ring at that point, so I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed setting all that stuff up, and I might do it again in the future. But okay, that is this. I think now we're going to be moving on to the main event, right? Yeah. Okay. Main event time. Turn the music off, because this is when we start the stuff. So, if you don't know, I played games this year. I streamed a ton of games, and I thought it'd be fun to do kind of a ranking of all the games I played. So in total, I played 20 games. I'm not counting one-offs. And I think I am counting some one-offs, but I'm not counting like a collection of games like Itch.io Invasion or the Game Jam games, because they're very short, and I don't think they deserve to be on here. I'm also not counting any of my miscellaneous games, because they're not fit for this sort of category, because I haven't streamed them all. Like, I haven't streamed the entire game, so I can't give my opinion on them, and I feel like it'd be unfair, because I'd rather have the games I actually streamed in full on here. So yeah, there's 20 in total, and don't worry, Lifeline is on here. Lifeline is on here, and you're gonna see where it's ranked. So I thought I'd be a little bit fun of it too. This isn't important, don't worry about it. It's just my complicated way of ranking a game. I'm just giving you kind of an insight into how I did it. So the way I did it was, I based it around Dark Souls stats, because I'm a nerd. I did 5 categories where I ranked it out of 10. And I used this to kind of designate where the games would be in a category, and then try and work out which is better than which, basically. And yeah, that's what I did, basically. So, here you go. Here it is. So firstly, we have our first slot, Vitality. So this is short-term nostalgia, how much the game has stuck with me since I played it. So I think games that I played more recently so you'd think that games that I played more recently would have more effect over me. It's not the case, to be honest. Like, there's some games I played like yesterday which I've just completely forgotten about. I think how the game sits with me and how much I remember it is a good sign, so I decided to make that a whole category, basically. Oh, this is a fun ranking system, yeah. It's not your typical ranking system. I know people like say, oh, puzzles, difficulty. Every game is different. You can't base it off the difficulty of the game or the gameplay, because they're all completely different. If they're all part of the same game series, I'd understand, but this is different. So yeah, Vitality is short-term nostalgia. Endurance, pacing. Does the game maintain a constant tone, naturally increasing difficulty, or is it more erratic, e.g. difficulty spikes? So this is kind of looking at the games that are, you know, might not be good gameplay wise, but their tone or atmosphere being consistent throughout them is a major player in this. If the difficulty spikes, I'm not going to enjoy that, obviously, and I put games that had these difficulty spikes lower down because of it. And I think that's a fair thing to do because games like this, well, the way you rank it like this is where gameplay with difficulty, if it spikes, then it's to be a problem. Oh, hold on. I just got a message. What is this? Oh. Very interesting. Okay, right. So, sorry, just got distracted. Right. So yeah, it's basically difficulty spikes. That's basically it. I think you can understand that category. Strength, art / gameplay direction. How focused is the direction of the gameplay / art, and how these interact to create a unique experience. We all love art in our video game, and I'm always more inclined to like a game that's more focused with its art direction than just be another generic, really realistic game like Deathloop or something like that. And you know, Deathloop won Best Art Direction, so you know, it must be a good game because of it. No. Gameplay direction too, like how the game incorporates its gameplay with the art style. Like, for example, Hollow Knight, its gameplay perfectly matches the art style it's given. And I think that's an important thing to have in this ranking, basically. Intelligence, narrative and mechanics. How creative is the story and gameplay? So this is a simple one. It's basically just talking about, is the story creative? Does it do unique things? Is the gameplay also creative, and does it do unique things? That's all there is to intelligence. It's quite simple. And then finally, faith. This is kind of the bonus one. This is the one that determines if it's kind of the tiebreaker, basically. Entertainment value. This stat is solely based around gameplay. How do developers incorporate intuitive gameplay to make the game as entertaining as possible? So, like, for example, Lifeline. It's not entertaining at all, but you can still have a good time with it in the other categories. So this kind of determines how much fun you have with the game. So it's kind of linked to vitality a little bit, but kind of that experience you had while you were playing it, like how much you enjoyed it. But yeah, that's the ranking, basically. Right, we are now going to move over to the ranking. I'm going to be talking about the games a little bit, but not too much, because I don't want the stream to go on forever. Yeah, we kind of like a quick overview of what I thought of the game, and we'll move on to the next one. Right, firstly, and I'm doing this in order of appearance, not order of rank, so it'll be the order in which I played them. And I'll give like a summary at the end so you know what their actual ranking was. So, the first game I played on June the 25th. Oh, wait. Oh, before that, this is the structure I did for it. So you can tell what it looks like on each page. So, number of appearance, like when it appears, vitality, endurance, strength, intelligence, faith, and then its rank. So, its rank in the actual place is that. And as this kind of spoilers, Metroid Fusion is rank 13 out of 20. This is the first game I played, so it has a special place in my heart, obviously, but I have mixed feelings on this game, unfortunately, and that's kind of sad because this is a very well-made game, and it's Nintendo, obviously, so you know it's going to be polished, but the thing with Metroid Fusion is, it's gameplay-wise, it isn't that good. I know people love this game, and they have a special place in their hearts for this game, but gameplay-wise, it doesn't really do anything like different to Super Metroid. And we need to talk about the linearity for a second. This game is just straight up linear. There's no exploration outside of the area you're in. Like, once you enter an area, you're told exactly where to go, and then you go to the next area. That's how this game functions. It tells you where to go, and it expects you to follow that. There's no exploration until the end of the game. And even then, they kind of force you down the path to the ending, so you kind of just miss a ton of collectibles, unfortunately. There's like an illusion of exploration in this game, I feel, which kind of sucks, but, you know. I want to be nice to this game because I played it first, but I think it does have actual problems, which luckily are fixed in Dread and Prime, so yeah. Don't worry, this is my least favorite Metroid so far, but it's still a good game. I mean, it's ranked 13 out of 20, so it's still good. The second game I played, and this was one of my experimental ones I started off streaming with. Let's actually get a song for this. Let's get the actual song, shall we? Inmost was a game I was trying to experiment with. At the time, I had bought a ton of indie developed games on Steam, and this is the one that caught my eye the most because of its graphic style. I didn't really know what to expect when I was going into it, and I'm not going to spoil it, don't worry, there's not going to be any spoilers in this for any of the games. I would say definitely play this game. It's got rank 12, but it's great. The story is good. What it does with the art direction and how those two merge together is fantastic, and I think it's worth playing. It's a little on the short side, and it isn't like that fun to play necessarily, but it's still good, and I'm glad I played it. Like, it's a pretty unknown game, but I definitely suggest checking it out if you're interested in that kind of Ori-esque storytelling through gameplay. There isn't that much like combat or stuff, it's more so just trying to tell a really in-depth and complicated story, and it does a really good job at that. But yeah, there's nothing else to say except for this is what kind of started me off on those one-offs and itch.io games, like looking at indie devs and trying to work out what games I wanted to play. Like at the time, like at the beginning, I was like, retro games is kind of the thing I want to focus on because I missed a ton of them when I was young, so I wanted to try and play them. But the thing is, I wanted to do that, but with Metroid Fusion, I kind of went off on a arc, and I played a ton of other Metroid games, and I played this, and then I played Star Wars Squadrons, and yeah. Speaking of Star Wars Squadrons, rank 20. This is my least favorite game I played this year. Now, if anyone remembers when I played this, I was a little bit salty. This is a good game. It's not bad. I didn't play a single bad game this year, I feel. I mean, why would I purposely play a bad game? But this was not great either. The problem with Star Wars Squadrons is I can't play flying games, and that isn't a fault of the game. That's a fault of me as a person. I can't play shooting games in the sky. It's difficult for me, and when this game came around, I was like, oh, a PS5 game I actually have access to. Let me play it. Let me play on my PS5 to show you actually can play on my PlayStation. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun series. It was not fun. It was the opposite of fun. This game, it did things to me. It made me question, do I like flying games and do I want to play more of them? And the answer to that, I think at the end, was no, I do not want to play flying games anymore. This was not fun. I think also it doesn't help that the story was really generic. The atmosphere was generic. The actual locations were cool, and it reminded me a lot of why I love Star Wars so much. But yeah, the story was just kind of generic. The characters weren't interesting, even though they tried to make them interesting with like depth. Like, oh, these Empire lads are not as bad as you think they are. But they are. They're meant to be evil. Don't treat them as actual good and complicated people, because they're not. I mean, they can be complicated, but you need to write them well, and the game does not write them well. It just ends up being a thing where you go do the shoot, which is difficult, and then you go back to the briefing room for about 5 minutes, and then you go back out and shoot again. That's all there is to the game. And yeah, I understand that it's more focused on the multiplayer stuff, but I don't know, if you're going to incorporate a story mode, like a Star Wars Squadron story mode, I feel like they should try a little bit harder. I don't know. But yeah, that's Star Wars Squadrons. The worst game, but not bad by any means. But speaking of good games that are clouded by, you know, that sort of stuff, Code Veronica. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, this is the only Resident Evil game I played this year, and it's kind of sad because I was going to play Outbreak over Spoopytober, but I found out that that game was pretty long, so I kind of held off on it. I'm going to do it next year, I think. Code Veronica was good. Oh, you are Top Gun. Sort of, Kamui. That's sort of what that game was, I guess. Code Veronica was... I'm gonna be nice here. I know Pastry's in chat, and I know other people are too, who like Code Veronica. It's a very good game, but man, does the difficulty suck. There's a point in this game where I was contemplating stopping because I was completely, like, locked off. You have to be perfect in some spots. You have to... This is not Little Babby's first survival horror game. It's not. If you want to play a Resident Evil game that introduces you to mechanics, do not play this game. This game kicks your ass in difficulty. In survival horror, like, it expects you to be perfect. It expects you to know stuff you can't possibly know. And unfortunately, that makes it rank 18 because difficulty-wise, it spikes. Like, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's relentless. I remember there's a point in the game where you fight a boss on a plane, and that's immediately after you escape the... That's immediately after there's a chase scene, where you have no ammo after that, so they kind of expect you to have tons of ammo for it. And then the notorious section at the end... What? Hey, why did you change song? I wasn't done. Okay, there we go. And then the notorious section at the end where I got stuck for about an hour with a puzzle which was not good. It was basically the last thing you had to do in the game before you fought the final boss, and I just kept screwing it up and it just killed me. Outside of the bad stuff though, this game's story and its kind of cheesy tone worked really well. It's kind of a good balance between Resident Evil 4's like craziness, insaneness, and like Resident Evil 2's like actual serious storytelling. I thought it did a good job with the story, and the characters are great. Like Steve, Claire, Wesker, Chris even. They were probably at their best in this game, especially Claire. But yeah, it was a good game. It just was really difficult in spots, and that ruined my entertainment a little bit. It's still a perfectly good Resident Evil survival game, but I suggest playing it. If you want to play it, like, play it with the knowledge that the game is going to be difficult and you're going to have a rough time of it if you don't know the survival horror tropes, I guess. But as you heard from the music, our next game is Metroid Zero Mission. So, the sad thing about Zero Mission is, until I made this list, I completely forgot I played it. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that this game is too short, would be the word. I understand that it's a remake of Metroid 1, and it didn't have a lot of content to base the game off, but I don't know, this game's about 6 to 5 hours long. I think that's not a good length for a Metroid game, because when I came back to it, I completely forgot it, and two, I didn't really know what happened in it because it went so fast. Like, even the pacing is really, like, quick in the game. Like, that's a good thing. The pacing is great in Zero Mission. That's why it's an 8. But it goes too fast, I feel, and it just reaches a point where, oh, that happened. Okay. It felt more like DLC than an actual game, if you get what I mean. But outside of that negative, this game is fantastic. This is probably the best 2D Metroid game outside of Dread. This game is fantastic. It gets everything right in the gameplay, the music, the atmosphere, the tone. It's kind of your dream Metroid. Like, if you want to play Metroid 1, play this. This is perfect. This game is beautiful. That's why it's 10. But at just like this game's like length, I don't really have anything else to say. It's good. Play it. It's worth your time. It's longer than you'd think it is. If you think this is going to be one stream, it's probably about 2. But yeah. Speaking of Metroids, let's move on to a masterpiece, shall we? Metroid Prime. So, with Metroid Fusion, I kind of told chat that I was going to marathon the Metroid games. I said, hey chat, I'm going to play all Metroid games before Metroid Dread comes out. That gave me about 4 months to play all of them. Now, that didn't happen. This is actually the last Metroid game I played before Dread came out. And there's a good reason for that. I think after this game, I was tired out. Like the Metroid gameplay-esque thing, I was like, I can't play any more of this. If I play more, I'm not going to enjoy them anymore. So I ended up stopping playing. But outside of that, outside of me trying to marathon these games, this game is fucking good. like when I played it, there was so many moments where I just kind of was taken aback by the graphics for a 2002 GameCube game. Like, this game looks insane for GameCube. Like, sure, like Wind Waker also looked great, but this is an amazing achievement. I like to point out that this is Nintendo's first attempt at a first-person Metroidvania 3D. Like, I don't understand how Nintendo is so good at this. They did this with Breath of the Wild. This game is fantastic. The exploration is amazing. The graphics are great. The music is phenomenal. For a GameCube game, this ticks all the boxes. There is nothing wrong with this game outside of the pacing a little bit. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more story in it. That it felt a little bit barren, but I think that was the point. The point was, you were exploring this alien planet, and they wanted you to do that on your own, and that is what this game accomplished in spades. Like, I don't think they even topped this with Prime 2 or Prime 3, apparently. That this is the pinnacle 3D Metroid game, and yeah, I agree. This game is incredible, and I really don't know how 2 and 3 are going to top this. Speaking of good games, Skyward Sword. So I talked about this during the pre-event for this ranking. Skyward Sword is probably the longest game series I've done outside of Bloodborne. I've played this game before, and I think that you would think that means that this game's obviously going to be better because you like this game, Flower. I do. I love Zelda. Zelda's probably my favorite series ever. Like, if you gave me a Zelda game, I would play it. It's so good. Like, I'm so excited for Breath of the Wild 2. It's a great series, but Skyward Sword is probably my least favorite Zelda game, and that doesn't mean it's bad. Just because it's my least favorite doesn't mean it's a terrible game. What it means is this game has problems. This game has quite a few problems that the HD remaster tries to fix, but I don't think it does a good job at that. The HD remaster fixes the quality of life stuff, like the hint system with Fi, the items, like that sort of stuff with like the infinite loading screens and text boxes. It kind of fixes that. What it doesn't fix is the repetitious nature of Skyward Sword. This game, it takes you back to the same locations over and over again. It feels like a time loop. It does a good job, like, with its mechanics. Like, I love the desert area. Like, you'd be surprised how good the desert area is in this game. Like, it's fantastic. But holy shit, this game feels like they had an idea, but they just stretched it out as much as they could, and yeah, I don't love this game, which kind of sucks because I like Skyward Sword a lot. I think it has good things going for it, like the graphics are great. I love the painted style it's going for. Music is obviously phenomenal, but that's like a Zelda thing. It's like Sonic, the music is always going to be good. The old false game length is 20 hours long. Yeah, you made us play every area 8 times. Exactly, Morba, that's what it is. It's just like arbitrary length, game length. But yeah, mechanics are phenomenal in this game. I would say this game has some of the best dungeons in the series. Like, they're definitely the highlight. Not the areas you go to, they suck. Like, even the desert sucks. Like, it doesn't do anything interesting. It's just forest, volcano, desert. Like, even Skyloft feels a little bit barren. Like, once you go there, it's like, okay, is that it? Like, the sea of islands in the sky is so, like, underwhelming that it kind of makes me sad. I wish there was more to it. But yeah, that's Skyward Sword, basically. Oh, God. All I have to do is to play the music, and you know what this game's gonna be. Here we go. Lifeline! This fucking game. Now, it says rank 16. That's low. I know. But let me take you by the hand or the shoulder if you're comfortable with that, chat. Lifeline is a video game. It is a video game. Is it a good video game? Yes. I think it is a good video game. Mechanically, what it does is really interesting. I love the whole voice assist like gameplay mechanic. The problem is Rio doesn't listen to you. She doesn't listen to a word you say. And it creates for some very funny moments. And that's great and all. I love that. I love the funny moments that come from a lot of the dialogue. The problem is this game is also, it expects you to nail the audio recognition. Like, there's sections of the game where there's not a save point for about 30 minutes. And some of the bosses in this game, like especially one of them, and I think chat knows what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to mention them for spoiler's sake, obviously, but this boss in particular can suck a dick. All the dicks in the world. There are certain sections of this game that made me want to eat my own, like, thorax. It's probably the most frustrating game I've played on this outside of Bloodborne. And that has a lot to do with the fact that this game is good mechanically, but terrible in execution. So, outside of that, there is one positive I want to talk about in this game, and that's the how the game handles the audio direction. I think it does an exceptional job at explaining the mechanics to you and keeping it interesting. The whole idea of an audio assist adventure game is interesting in concept, but it needs to be executed well. While this game doesn't execute it very well, I think it does a lot of cool things with the idea. Like the certain parts where Rio asks you to remember what you're doing, or asks you what the quest is. I like that sort of stuff. It's really cool. There's points in this game where I feel really immersed because of, for one, Rio's voice actor is very good. Like, he's probably the best part of this game's voice cast, which makes sense since she's the one you're always around, basically. But they really make you care about her. But the problem is, you don't care about her because the gameplay makes you want her to die in every way possible. So it's kind of a weird mix where the game makes you care about her, but it also makes you want her to die. So when a character walks up to her and calls her a bitch, you're like, no, that's my Rio. Leave her alone. Like, you get really protective over her. And you want her not to die, but you also have situations where you do want her to die. It's really weird. Lifeline is a conundrum I don't think any of us can solve. Like, as if we all try and play it, maybe we'll solve it one day. But this game is really weird, but also kind of cool. Right. Now moving on to a game that's not one of my favorites, but a really fun indie game. Blue Fire. Blue Fire is kind of like probably the most relaxing game I've played on this. And immediately as I say that, I kind of want to take that back because I remember some of the puzzles in this game like sucking immensely. But Blue Fire is a really nice take on the whole Metroidvania, Hollow Knight-esque mechanics. I mean, the character looks like Hollow Knight. Looks like the character in Hollow Knight, but it does some really cool things in it. And I want to say this before I tear it apart, because the devs put so much love into the graphics, the gameplay, all of it. It's great in that respect. The problem is that this game doesn't have a lot outside of its combat. It reaches a point where the game gets a little bit boring because it just ends up being a thing where you keep going to these locations that, while they're interesting in concept, they're not very cool graphically. And that's not a problem with the devs, because the devs put a lot of love into this game. I think it's more so a problem with me. Like, the gameplay is great. The graphics are good for what they need to be, but I don't think they translate well together. And I think there's also the case with this game being an indie game and being very experimental. Like, they do some really creative stuff with what they have, but it's glitchy. This game's pretty glitchy, unfortunately. And I have had cases where I've been able to walk on lava, or I've been able to nullify damage completely. And there's also the problem with difficulty. The difficulty is not hard in this game. I think the balancing is all wrong. Once you get to the final boss, it's remarkably easier than it was like halfway through the game. And that's good and all, because I prefer when a game is nicer difficulty than it's just brutal. But I don't know, I think this game could have been a little bit more difficult. And maybe the DLC which came out recently will answer that. Oh yeah, if you wonder if I'm going to be playing the DLC, I will be, but it'll be for quite a while yet, because I want to give that game a little bit of a birth before I come back to it. So yeah, Blue Fire is a good game. I suggest playing it if you want to play a 3D Metroid game and the same Metroidvania game in the same style as Hollow Knight. But yeah, that's that. We are about halfway through. I'm going to take a short break at 10, because talking this long has made my throat really dry, so I'm gonna get a sippy while I go for a little bit. Oh, good. This game. Bloodborne. Now this is the game I'm still playing. This is the game that never ends. Bloodborne, I talked about this a little while ago with Pastry. I talked about why I thought of this game. I think it's incredible. In so many regards, FromSoft took an idea in a Victorian-esque monsters world, and they did something really unique with it. They made a world that's interesting, with so much lore in it, that kind of rivals Dark Souls. Many times we see devs trying a new IP, it kind of falls flat because they never reach the same extent they did with their old IPs. I think FromSoft, in some ways, make this world more interesting than Dark Souls, in a sense. Because we've seen the fantasy tropes before, but we haven't really seen this Victorian-esque celestial entity Cthulhian thing before, and it's kind of really interesting. Gameplay, it's similar to Dark Souls in how it functions, but it's a little bit different. It's a lot more about aggression. You have a mechanic in the game where if you get hit, you can recover some of your health, like if you're fast enough to get another hit on them. It's kind of like table tennis in that regard, like really fast table tennis. And I think because of that mechanic and how it expects you to be aggressive, I struggled a little bit with this game at the beginning. Also, if you're wondering why this game is on here, even though I haven't finished it, I feel like I've played enough at this point to get a good idea of what I think of the game. Like, I'm basically at the final boss. And I will, if the DLC changes my mind, I'll put it on my list next year, and I might put it up higher. But Bloodborne is very similar in Dark Souls in terms of combat, and I think that made me suffer a little bit because I recently came out of Sekiro when I first got into this game in September, which meant that I had to learn that it's not about running away, it's about staying in the meat. It's in the meat, the game. So yeah, that made me suffer a little bit in terms of difficulty. I will say though, that the difficulty does spike in some places, and that might just be my build and how I built it over time with Chalice Dungeons and stuff, but I think with the incorporation of Chalice Dungeons, there's a real sense of, like, pacing break, because you're going into these Chalice Dungeons, you're getting levels, you're getting EXP, which you would otherwise have gotten in the main story, so you're already giving yourself an advantage, and in that regard, it kind of takes away a little bit from the main story, because you're throwing yourself into these Chalice Dungeons. Now, the Chalice Dungeons are not mandatory, and I want to get that straight. They're not mandatory, which means you don't have to do them. But there's new content in them, which in my mind means they are mandatory. There's new bosses in them, there's locations and stuff, and I played them, and yeah, the main game was easier because of it. It wasn't that much easier, but it was a little bit easier, and by the time we got to the... Oh, no, don't play... I keep forgetting to loop it. Well, now you know what the next game's gonna be. Good. But, yeah, Bloodborne is, in some regards, in most regards, a really great game, and probably one of FromSoft's best, in my opinion, but yeah, I think it's held back by some stuff, which, yeah, I think it's just my opinion, I guess, but I don't love the whole aggression combat thing. I think I prefer how Dark Souls does it and how Sekiro does it. Like, I understand that they want you to go for the meat, but maybe I'm too scared to go for the meat game. Maybe I don't want to do it. But I think that's my opinion on it right now. The story is great. The graphics are great. 30 FPS? I think we should crank that up to 60, maybe. I don't know. It kind of takes away from the game a little bit, like when you notice it. But when you don't notice it, it's fine. It's just, yeah, it's a little bit annoying sometimes. Meat coward, exactly. I'm a meat coward. We should make that into an emote. Right, but before I move on to the next game, I'm gonna have a sippy. I'll move us back to the setup to Chip Christmas, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay? See you in a second, chat. Right, I'm back. Hello. Got myself a CP. Got myself a Christmas Vimto. With Vimto's Zero with raspberry, blackberry, and limeberry. I don't know if limeberry is actually an actual thing, but it is now. Alright, let's go back to the list, shall we? Starting with the next game. Deltarune Chapter 2. So, Toby surprised us with this game this year. He announced it about 2 weeks before it came out, and that made me panic. I was like, okay, I have to stream this game. And I mean, what more can I say? If you haven't played Undertale, play it. It's a fantastic game. Toby, this might be his best work. Like, I don't use the word like magnum opus lightly, but this might be his magnum opus in terms of storytelling, graphics, like gameplay. I think this is the best he's gonna do. Chapter 2 is the highlight because story-wise, there's nothing wrong with it. The story is great. Doesn't need to be complicated. It can be funny, and it is funny. It's really funny. The characters are all great. They have depth. They're not just jokesters. They are funny, but they have actual like deep feelings about them, and I like that. And yeah, we can talk about the gameplay too. Gameplay has always been good in Deltarune. I prefer it over Undertale. Undertale felt a little bit too simple in my regards. I feel like Deltarune does it better, and it's more vibrant. It actually feels like, you know, an actual game. I guess would be the word. Doesn't feel like a mock RPG, I guess. Music. I mean, it's Toby Fox. The music is always going to be good. But outside, spoilers aside, I'm not going to make any spoilers, obviously, but this game, it's longer than I thought it was going to be, actually. I thought it was going to be about 4 hours. So when I was playing the game, I was like, I can get this done in one stream. I could not get it done in one stream. And also, I remember that was when I had my second shot, my second 5G shot. So I was sick during that stream, and I was talking for about 4 hours, doing voices and stuff, and by the end of it, I did not feel good at all. So yeah, when it came to it, I was like, okay, Chapter 2. I like it a lot. It was a lot longer than I thought it was, and this game is great, obviously, because Toby is great at making video games, especially storytelling and comedy. So yeah, if you want to check it out, check it out. And definitely check out Undertale too. Right, now we're into our Spoopy-tober games, which is going to add a lot of bulk to our PowerPoint. So, first one being Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion HD renovation. So, when I was thinking of games to play during Spoopy-tober, one of the ones which I definitely wanted to play was Spoopy's House, because I've never played this before. I've heard great things about it. And it's weird I've never played it before, because I watched a ton of people back in the day streaming games like this, but I just never watched it. I never watched it in full. I knew stuff about this game, obviously. I knew about the cardboard cutouts, I knew about some of the monsters, but I didn't know about everything. So, yeah. I came to this game with a blank face, a blank notebook, and I was scared. There were places in this game where I was very scared, in fact. It does a good job with the jump scares, I feel. I like how they're timed. Like, we joke about it a lot. Like, the whole jump scare things in video games always feeling forced. In this game, it doesn't feel forced. It's a part of the actual game mechanic, and it does a good job of that, in my regard. Problem is, though, is that the game is very short. And it doesn't have a lot to do outside of going through doors and using your weapon sometimes. I think it does a lot better in the DLC, where it's a lot more linear and focused. But the actual main house is it's kind of like a roguelike, basically, with the monsters and learning out the mechanics. It's more so just you learning how to dodge these certain things. And in that regard, it's kind of easy. And, yeah. There's something else to say outside of Spooky's house, except it's a good game. I think it's worth checking out. And speaking of YouTubers during that time, there was another game that came out, which I have seen before. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I played this as well, knowing that this game, back in the old days, was one of the main reasons why YouTube became a central hub for gaming channels. This, Minecraft, and Spooky's House and a lot of other horror games were that centerpiece, I feel. They're what kind of pivoted gameplay channels to the site. And in that regard, this game. It's very scary. And it's scary in a good way, I feel. It's not the scariest game I played. I think when this game gets reputation as one of the scariest horror games, it isn't. It's more so, it depends on what you find scary, I guess. Getting chased by a wax monster like this boy here, it was very scary. But the fear kind of weared off after a while, and it was kind of like, okay, this person's pursuing me, okay, this one's pursuing me. I think the game is at its best when it's introducing a new mechanic and it uses that mechanic against you. Like, for example, the water monster. I thought that was the best section of the game. But atmosphere-wise, this game is great. Like, it doesn't do too much graphically, which is why I added the lighting mod to this. I didn't actually play the original game. I played this with a mod that increases the graphics a little bit. So I guess it might be unfair to give this game a higher boost in that regard, in that category, but this game looks great. Like, art direction-wise, it's dark. It's insane, but it's on purpose. And story-wise, it also does a fantastic job with the notes system, the actual teach new mechanics stuff. There's not a point in this game where it feels that the game needs to explicitly tell you what to do. And I think that's what Fictional does a good job of in this game. And I kind of wish they did that in Amnesia Rebirth too, but unfortunately that game isn't as good. Which makes me sad. But yeah, Amnesia Dark Descent is good. Very scary. Which brings us to another surprisingly scary game. I don't know why I keep trying to breach these gaps. Metroid Dread. This is one of the most anticipated games of the year. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I started streaming, because I wanted to do a Metroid marathon. Metroid Dread? It's good. It's very, very good. It's not as good as Metroid Prime, but I think that's unfair. You can't compare like one of the best first attempts at a 3D Metroid game, which does it perfectly, and a game that's trying to bring back a franchise which has been gone for the last 15 years. Metroid Dread needed to do one job, and that was to re-interest fans into 2D Metroid games after Fusion. And I think it does it perfectly. This game is what Fusion needed to be, I feel. it's kind of a mix between the 3 games. It's a mix between Zero Mission, Fusion, and Super. It combines the exploration aspects of Super, the story and mechanics section of Fusion, and also a little bit of the horror of the MEs. And in Zero Mission, it brings a lot of that interesting and unique boss designs and kind of that graphic style into it. And in that regard, Metroid Dread is great. But as you can see, there is one category here which is a 3, and that is the pacing. Now, it is difficult to do a pacing in a Metroidvania, like more so than any other genre, because you have to expect the player to go back to previous locations, get certain upgrades and stuff. But there are players out there who just want to go forward. They don't want to go back and get that sort of thing, and that's bad for Metroidvanias, but there are players like that. And since I was streaming, I didn't want to do too much of that because I wanted to keep this content interesting. So what happened was, is you get the boss fights, which wreck your shit. This is not only the hardest Metroid game, it's also probably one of the hardest games I've ever played. This game is difficult, like really difficult. I'm not using that word lightly either. There's points in this game where I died to a boss probably about 40 times. That happened 2 times, I think. This game does not give you any rest, and I like that. I like that this game isn't scared to be difficult. The problem is it's too difficult. Which might be like, well, what do you mean, Flower? I mean, the enemies can kill you in 3 hits, even though you got 5 energy tanks, and I don't know how I feel about that. I think the way the game should have done it is made the harder difficulty like do a lot more damage and made the normal difficulty do less damage, because you just reach a point in Metroid Dread where the final boss will kill you in about 5 energy tanks. Which isn't great, to be honest. And it's weird because there are some bosses in this game that are easier than others, and it feels like with the final boss and also some of the others, they just ramped the difficulty like crazy. And I like that. I like the fact that bosses are difficult, but it feels kind of arbitrary when you make a boss do your entire health bar. I don't know. And in that regard, I didn't love that part of the game. But as for the difficulty in OS sectors, it was fine. I think the difficulty was good. Especially against the MEs. The MEs was probably the highlight of the game for me. I loved the sections of them, and they did some great stuff with them, I feel. And that leads us on to a surprising hit of this year. This game did stuff I was not expecting, and it might have become one of my favorite games I've ever played. I'm not even joking. Here it is. Wait, this isn't that game. Oh shit! Hold on. Before we play that song, I forgot about Amadeus. I am so sorry, Amadeus. I mean, you are rank 19 for a reason. Let me play the Amnesia soundtrack again. Amadeus. So, like I said before about the Spoopytober stuff, I reached a point where I had played all the games I wanted to and needed something else to extend my time so I wouldn't have to move on at the end of Spoopytober. So I had this game, Amadeus, which I finished in about 1 stream. This was very scary. In the atmosphere department, this game did a fantastic job as a custom story for Amnesia. The problem is it didn't really have anything else going on for it. Like the whole chasing thing with the enemy in this game is more annoying than scary, I feel. The puzzles are good. The problem with the puzzles though, in some of them, is you need to find them, otherwise we're gonna be tracking through half the mansion again. And sometimes they're hidden very, annoying places, and in the puzzle regard, I didn't love that about Amadeus, but I was able to finish it in about 4 hours, so I was happy. But outside of that, it was just kind of forgettable, and I kind of wish it was better in that regard. Atmosphere and storytelling was great though. There was some points in this game which I really loved, and the horror was also really good in some spots. There was a point at the end of the game which I loved, and if you want to see it, I definitely suggest watching the VOD of this, or perchance playing it yourself. Right, now on to the actual game that I loved. Everhood. There it is. There's this good boy. So you don't know what Everhood is? I played it back at the beginning of November. I wanted to have an indie game my Tuesday slot because I like doing them. Unlike Blue Fire, which I loved, I did like Blue Fire a lot. This game did stuff I was not expecting. I had no expectations going into this game as a music-driven, like Guitar Hero-esque. I don't know why I couldn't say guitar there. A Guitar Hero-esque game. This game did some like really trippy stuff, and I keep calling the Magic Mushrooms game because it really is. I don't know what the devs are smoking during this, but I want that shit. That this game does a phenomenal job in the regards of the storytelling. It reminds me a little bit of Undertale, but it's a lot less comedic than Undertale. It knows when to be comedic and it knows when to be serious, and a lot of the time that serious tone really works. Music is exceptional. It's not your traditional like very memorable Toby Fox soundtrack. It's more so like emotional. I feel like it feels more raw, and you can feel the characters through them. And there's a lot of songs in this game, so there's obviously a lot of stretch in that regard. But the characters are great. I love the art style. It reminds me a lot of Undertale, but it's also very unique on its own. The gameplay was probably the best part of this game. The gameplay was so good that I kind of forgot that it was a rhythm game. Like, it's so simple, but it works so well. And obviously the music is great too, like I said. So yeah, Everhood is fantastic, and I definitely suggest playing it if you haven't. I'm going to let the song play out a little bit more, so I'm going to keep talking. It's longer than you would think. Too. It's about 5 to 6 hours. There's tons of secret content and bonus content, and I did a little bit of research afterwards on the secret bosses and the devs, and it's a really interesting story if you want to read something like that. Finding out how this game was made and how it nearly didn't happen at one point. But yeah, check out Everhood. It's great. Speaking of great games, here's the other one. Outer Wilds. Now don't worry. No spoilers. Now, I always say that with this game. No spoilers. And there's a reason for it. Outer Wilds is a game which is unplayable if you know everything about it. The gameplay works so well in this game because of your lack of knowledge about it. And I want to preface that. If you want to play this game, play it. Don't watch someone else play it yourself. It works because you're the player. So, no spoilers. Check it out. It's great. So, I'm going to try to explain this game and why it's my rank 1 without spoiling it. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to be as vague as possible. Ages ago, when I played Outer Wilds, the first game, it was a time in my life where I needed a game like that, I feel. I had exams, I had the stress from those exams, and I needed something to take my mind off them. So I played a game called Outer Wilds, and it became one of my favorite things I've done, gaming-wise, I guess. The way it tells its story, the way it incorporates its gameplay into the overall feel of it, I feel it does a really unique and incredible job with an idea which isn't explored enough in video games, I feel. Like that sense of exploration, that sense of true exploration. Not being told anything, just being plunged into a world and you working out everything about it on your own. No guides, no stupid mechanics, just a straight up raw, like real experience, and that is what Outer Wilds was to me. And Echoes of the Eye, I didn't really know how it could surpass Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is a masterpiece, but it did. Echoes of the Eye is like a masterpiece. It does everything that Outer Wilds does and makes it better. I don't know how it did it. I don't know how Echoes of the Eye did this, but like, it's so good. Play it. Play it. God damn it. Don't listen to me talk about it. If you wanna really know how to feel about this game, go play it yourself. It's great. So good. But yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna mention anything else about it, but please check it out. It's fantastic. So now we're moving on to the beginning of my next marathon. God of War. Boy. So, at the beginning of November, I also decided to play God of War, because I want to play all of these before God of War 5 comes out. A much more reasonable challenge, I think, compared to trying to play Metroid Dread, playing on the Metroid games in 4 months. I feel like I can actually do this. But yeah, God of War. It was really good. Like, PS2 games, I haven't played many, but this one like firmly sits in my top 3, maybe even top 2. I don't know how it can beat Silent Hill 2, but yeah, this game, action-wise, it does great stuff. I love, even though it feels like a PS2 game, it feels like something that could have come out like a year ago. It has such like advanced mechanics in it that you would think it would be something that came out on the PS4 or the PS5. It does a lot of cool stuff with the gameplay, the combat. Like, I like how Kratos' weapons work, abilities-wise, and I remember Morbo, you mentioned that what was the game called? The Warhammer games were inspired by God of War, so yeah, I think a lot of games were inspired by it, actually. Like Devil May Cry a little bit, I guess, maybe, but this is kind of like the American Devil May Cry. And I like how this game isn't afraid to be dark and gruesome, too. Space Marine, yeah. Sequel coming out now, too, yeah. I might check it out, to be honest. Probably on my own time, though. I don't know. But now to talk about problems. This game is great, but man, does it like to be difficult in some spots. And not in a good way either. I feel like the game is difficult in some regards, but that's more to do with the PS2 nature of this game. It kind of sucks, because God of War, the idea of it is so good. Like you want to root for God of War. You want it to succeed, but you know it's limited by the PS2 hardware, and you can really feel it. Like, there's spots in the game where you just get stun locked, you just get like completely destroyed by traps and stuff. It's trying to be that hard PS2 game, which a lot of games tried to be, but it doesn't need to be like that. It can just be fun. And I feel like when this game tries to be fun, it does it exceptionally. Like, the whole temple part did not need to be as long as it was. The bosses were good. There were 2 bosses in this game. There weren't that many, but they were great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on God of War 1. I loved it, and apparently 2 is even better, so rank 9 is pretty damn good. Good job, God of War. And now on to, I don't know if this game beat God of War, but it'd be kind of funny if it did. Just because of how simple this game is. This is a complete tonal whiplash. It's like Animal Crossing. Wait, what? How are they both rank 9? Uh-oh. Did I fuck up? I might have fucked up. What's the actual rank of this? It's not rank 9. Oh no, it's rank 7. Okay, I did rate it higher than God of War. I don't know how that even happened. So, I played very recently a little indie game called Webbed. Now, if you know me, you know I don't like spiders. I have a fear, an arachnophobia, I guess is what you would call it, of spiders that are really fast or jump. So when I came to this game, initially I was kind of scared of it. But I was also like, I want to play a game that might abolish my fear of spiders. Now, this game didn't quite do that, but it did a good job in every other regard at being a video game, not trying to eradicate my fear, but being an actual video game. The physics engine in this game is phenomenal. I love how the spider webs like work together. You have to make bridges, you have to collect objects, you know, platforming, that sort of stuff. If you haven't played it, I suggest playing it if you want like a physics-based like web game. It does some cool stuff. The graphics are great. Overall, this is just a fun, nice experience. It's wholesome, it's neat, it's just a nice warm game to play at Christmas, I feel. And, you know, it's a spider game, but the spider is pretty damn cute in this game, I feel. At least cuter than the ones in Bloodborne, anyway. But, yeah, Webbed is great. Check it out if you want. It's great. And finally, and I think you chat, you know what this is, because I played the most recently. I decided to use the PS1 soundtrack for this too. Spyro the Dragon is my most recent game, well, outside of Chasing Static, but that happened yesterday. So that happened 2 days ago, so I wasn't going to do that anyway, so... Spyro the Dragon, I played the remastered version, the Reignited Trilogy version of this game. It was a joy to play. It did what I wanted in a collectathon very well. It was a little bit simple. There wasn't too much gameplay-wise, which I didn't really expect, to be honest. At the end of the game, I kind of thought that something interesting was going to happen with the final boss. Like, I thought it was going to turn out that Nasty Nor was actually the good guy, and the dragons were being the manipulative over him, and they were going to be the actual final boss. But no, it was simple, as it should be. I don't know why I thought something insane was going to happen at the end of the game, but it didn't. Spoilers, I guess, for a 20-year-old game. But yeah, the one of the highlights of this game was definitely the facial animations and the animations of the characters you meet across the game. There's like 50 plus like dragons you interact with, and they all have unique like poses, like motions. Like Spyro himself too. They do a really good job of that in that regard. Yeah, but gameplay wise it's good. It's simple, but that's basically it. It's a simple collectathon. Doesn't need to be anything else outside of that. And I'm really sad what happened to Spyro as a series, like what Activision did to it. But yeah, that's Spyro the Dragon, and that is the end of this ranking. I hope you enjoyed kind of my official ranking of this. Well, official ranking again, it's not really my official ranking, but it's just my general ranking of these games. Now, you get to see, in summary, hooray! Hooray indeed, Morbo! This is the summary. This is the order in which they're in. So, we have Outer Wilds at number 1. Oh no, we'll go in opposite order. Star Wars Squadrons was good, but I don't like flight games. Amadeus was a good addition to my Amnesia playthrough, but it was kind of lackluster and a little bit boring in some spots. Code Veronica, great Resident Evil game, great survival horror. Not your first, but I definitely suggest it if you want to complete the series, obviously. Spooky's House, a perfectly functional horror game with cutesy art style, with jump scares and stuff, but jump scares done right. Lifeline. Blue Fire is great too. It's a platformer. It's like Hollow Knight if it was 3D, basically. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, I came back to it for the HD remaster. It didn't leave a lot for me to be impressed, but I still love it as a Zelda game. Metroid Fusion, my first streaming game, but also it had problems in its linearity, but it was still good. In most, a surprisingly great indie game that was about one streaming length. It was good. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, well, the first Spyro game in that Reignited Trilogy, was a simple collectathon that did a good job. Metroid Zero Mission is the one I always forget about, but it's also one of my favorites. I don't know why it's like this, but Zero Mission, you did good in remaking Metroid 1, which wasn't that great, and adding your own content to it. God of War HD, a perfectly great PS2 fighting game that I'm really looking forward to playing the rest of. Amnesia: The Dark Descent, another horror game that did exceptional in its ideas, its atmosphere, I feel. Webbed, physics-based spider game. I'm surprised it's so high. I can't believe how high Webbed is. It's so simple. Metroid Dread, a return to the 2D genre of Metroid. Like, welcome back, I guess, Samus, to your home. Deltarune Chapter 2, or Delarune Chapter 2. I don't know why I did that. Delatrune. Delatrune Chapter 2. I mean, it's Toby Fox. It's gonna be good. Bloodborne, FromSoft's like new world, I guess. I liked it a lot, and I'm still enjoying it. Hopefully, I can come back to it next year and maybe boost it a little bit higher on this list. Everhood, surprisingly incredible indie game that reminds me a lot of how I felt about Undertale when I first played it, but maybe a little bit better. Metroid Prime, a Metroidvania, like Nintendo's first attempt at a first-person 3D Metroidvania. That is an incredible achievement, and it makes me like Nintendo, even though I shouldn't. And finally, Outer Wilds: Echoes of the Eye, the DLC that improved upon the masterpiece that was Outer Wilds in its own regard. It is a masterpiece. And that is it. That is my official ranking of the games I played this year. I really enjoyed making the list. It was fun. And next year, there's probably going to be a lot more games on here. So it's going to take a lot longer to get through, but it was fun. It was fun. Now, before I end out the stream, I want to talk about some of the stuff that I did across the year that I was very happy about, and also some future stuff. So, we're going to quickly go through this because my voice is tired now. Miscellaneous games. So, if you don't know, I play a lot of games, and I didn't have time to play these games like fully on stream, so I thought I'd check them out like once every so often. One of the ones was Ghost of Tsushima, which I still haven't finished actually. I want to go back to it at one point. Same with Tales of Arise. In fact, all of these games are kind of like the games that are looking at me and saying, "Why have you abandoned me, Flower?" It's like a graveyard. "Why have you done this to me, Flower? I'm sorry, okay? I've got other games I need to play." But I enjoy doing the miscellaneous games section quite a bit. I like playing new games, but also I don't have time to do them all on stream, so it's nice to come to them every so often. itch.io Invasion is one of my original, I guess, streaming segments. It's where I play a bunch of itch.io games that I find online. One of my favourite ones is when I played a bunch of them last time. I also did the PS1 horror collection, and there was a ton of other stuff too, like Beetlebum is a game I want to play again. There's Ruined Valley, which is going to get a full version soon, and like games like Chasing Static, which I played recently. That was an itch.io demo game, and I played that back at the end of October, and it recently got a full version that I played, and it's great. I like to play these itch.io games that will eventually become full things and become fully fledged video games, because there's so much ideas out there, so much imagination, that it's nice to see that being put in the form of video games. And then finally, Final Fantasy XIV. I began this game at the beginning of the year, and what an experience. I played it like at the end of January, and I've been playing it since. There's been points where I stopped, there's been points where I just neglected it, unfortunately, but I've come back to it in a big way now. I'm coming through the first expansion of this online game, and I'm excited to do more community events for this, because I did the first one back in November and I loved doing it. It was fun. Maybe more miscellaneous streams too. I don't know, but this game is not going anywhere anytime soon. So think of it kind of like this game's gonna be something I come back to every so often. But yeah, that's it, I think. And now, big times, the future. Scheduling. So, I now have dedicated days, although this may change depending on when I do it, but the order in which I do it will not change. Tuesday is now going to be my dedicated retro day. where I play a game from the past, like before 2005, before the Wii, before the Xbox 360, I think was my rules for this. So any game before in that era of video games, I'm gonna play on Tuesday, and I've completed my retro poll for that. So if you see on my Twitch page, you'll know what game I'm gonna be playing next week. Thursday is Flower Day, as I've called it. This is the day where I choose the game that I found interesting online. So like this is where Everhood would be now, or Webbed, or my HIO games. This is my day where I play events and stuff. That's what my Thursday stream is going to be now. So this is going to be the day where I kind of do like different stuff every week. It's not going to be like a fully fledged like series or like franchise of games. Saturday is my trending day. I've called it trending, I don't know what else to call it. This is where I play the most popular, where I played the game that's came out very recently. Like the opposite of my retro day, I guess. Where I play like games like Elden Ring or like Silksong. This is where it would be on Saturday. And finally on Sunday, that's my Souls day. That is my day where I play a Souls like Dark Souls, Mortal Shell, Death's Door, that sort of thing. But yeah, this is my schedule for now, and as you can see, the timing is off. That Flower Day should say 22, not 20, because unfortunately next year I'm going to be back at work, back at job. I'm going to be doing work stuff again, so yeah. But yeah, this is kind of a look at what games I'm going to be playing in 2022. So, a retro game. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the retro games. And as soon as I announce my poll tonight, I'm going to be opening it up again for people to reapply for, if they're interested in it. The God of War series, obviously, God of War 5 is coming out next year. So I want to play all of them before 5 comes out. The Metroid Prime series, I didn't want to stop with Metroid Prime or Metroid Dread. I want to play 2 and 3 obviously, but I have to spend time to dedicate myself to them. So hopefully we can come back to that in the future. Elden Ring is coming out in February. That is going to be a series, and I'm terrified, but I'm also looking forward to it. And hopefully, maybe Silksong. Silksong is, you know, I want it. Give it to me, Team Cherry, please. If you don't know what Silksong is, it's a sequel to Hollow Knight. That's been in development for ages now. And finally, this is the game I'm going to be playing next week on my Thursday slot, Alyssa. It's like a horror game in the style of Resident Evil 1. It's easier to show you, but yeah, I'll be playing that next week if you're interested. But yeah, now we can finally announce my retro game. This is the end of the stream. This is what you've all been looking forward to. My rambling for the last 2 hours. Finally, it's all going to come to a head. Here it is. Castlevania Wanderer Blood. We're going to be playing this next week. It's difficult. It's apparently one of the most difficult ones in the series. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also scared. We'll be playing that next week. I'm really looking forward to it. And that is, I think, the end of the stream. And I want to leave out with this. Merry Christmas. I hope you all have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. Goodbye.